love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the Kamen Riders. This is episode 2. I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, joined by
Toby Tobes.
Toby, welcome. Episode 2 of our podcast, reviewing Kamen Rider Geats. We're a real show now. We dropped an episode, or we dropped an ep, as they say in the business.
We dropped an ep, plus there's actually a name. So we actually figured out that problem we talked about almost immediately.
We did. There was a frantic message from me after we recorded the last time. I was like, I've done it. I figured it out. It's the best name ever. I've soured on the name a little bit, I think, since then, because I've written it so many times, like in doing all the graphic design and stuff, like, you know, creating the album art as you're setting up a podcast and stuff. Like, I've written out the Kamen Riders so many times, like the joke's not as funny to me anymore. But
so I think the solution to that is I'm going to just think of better names every week. That's gonna be my running gag. I think I'm gonna work on.
Definitely, that's great. That's what we're looking for. And then I'm gonna have major buyer's remorse when, like, you come up with one that's like way better. We're just gonna be that, like, that band that everyone knew in high school that just changed their name every 3 weeks because, you know, someone's interests changed.
Yeah, a little bit funnier, a little bit wittier every time.
Yeah, exactly. We're just Andy from Parks and Rec with his band. That's what it is. We're just like, oh, it's just that podcast. Yeah, they're called that this week. It's fine. They'll come up with something new next week.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Well, we watched Kamen Rider. Obviously, this is a Kamen Rider podcast. I did have one thing I needed to talk to you about before we get into Kamen Rider, and that is the Super Mario Brothers movie. Did you watch the trailer today?
No, I figured I'd wait for everybody else to let me know what's going on with that at this point.
I have to say my hot takes out into the world. They're not even hot takes. They're the takes everyone has. I need to say this out loud to someone. The movie seems awesome, and Chris Pratt is just playing Chris Pratt in that movie. Like, I've never, like, he talked up like, well, when you hear the voice I'm doing, it's like it's gonna be good. You guys are gonna like it. He's just playing Chris Pratt. Like, Chris Pratt is just doing the Chris Pratt voice. No, it's as if Chris Pratt is trying really hard to just do the Chris Pratt voice. It's like it's as if he's working hard to sound nothing like Mario.
So like that was, I mean, obviously that was everyone's concern, that they're tired of his ass anyway. But it's funny because the last, like, tweet or article before the direct thing today dropped was like, hey, here's him putting his heart and soul into this little quip on Twitter about how excited he is about it. And everyone was like, it literally just sounds like Chris Pratt saying, I'm Mario. And even in this little video, he was like, but don't worry, there's some processing on the voice, so it'll sound better when you hear it in the movie.
Well, let me be clear. There's not. Like, and I went into this, like, I wasn't one of the people who were like, ugh, Chris Pratt sucks. I'm not into this movie because of him. Like, I was approaching the trailer with a fairly open mind about the movie. I was excited about it. I still think the movie looks really good. Like, Jack Black as Bowser. Like, Bowser talking feels very weird at first, but, like, over the course of the 2-minute trailer, like, I was in for it, and Jack Black's doing so good at like coming up with a Bowser voice. But then Chris Pratt starts talking, and it took me out of it completely, because it's like, you see Mario and you know what Mario kind of sounds like, and he doesn't even attempt to remotely sound like, I get you can't do the, like, it's a me the whole time, but, like, he doesn't attempt to sound Italian. He doesn't even, like, affect his voice in any way. And he even does this thing where he's like, here we come at the end, where he doesn't sound excited. Like, it's like these are the lines they plucked for the trailer, and it's just the most unenthused sounding Chris Pratt has ever sounded.
Perfect. I'm glad they ruined everyone's childhood once again.
They really truly did. And they ruined this Kamen Rider podcast by making me talk about that. Nonetheless,
so on with the show.
had to get that out. Back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is Kamen Rider Geats episode 2 this week. We are diving into the game. So last week, for episode 1, The first game ended, Geats ended the world, and now we have new Kamen Riders signing up for game 2. We start off the episode, we find out that like Sarah doesn't really remember anything because Keiwa is attempting to like, like talk to her, like, hey, what's going on?
The
She's just
dream.
like,
No, you
yeah,
remember the dream. It was
yeah,
real.
exactly. Then we get one of my favorite things, I think, about sort of the evolution of the Gates or Ace characters. We find out that his sort of perfect world made him like a heartthrob. Like he's just like this big, huge star that all the girls are into.
I mean, like, that's the same thing you and I would have done. Like,
Absolutely.
like now, 5, 10, 20 years ago, my choice would not be any different. It would be literally the same exact thing he did.
Yeah, that's why I think I loved Gates from the first episode so much, because it feels like like people talk about their like id and ego. Like Gates, he feels like my id. Like it's just like, yeah, that's what I would want to say there. I wouldn't say it, I'd be chew chicken, but that's totally what I would say there. We find his we see his card that he wrote down. He wrote he desired a world where I'm a superstar.
It's so easy. It's just like it's just ridiculous that was the option, or
It's
the
great.
wording. I think the phrasing of the situation is definitely what makes it like fantastic.
Yeah. I do think so. In this episode, and especially at the end, we find out there's seemingly more to Geats than meets the eye. Um, so I do think that there's something, like maybe he's like a Batman type character where he's like pretending to be this like playboy character who doesn't care about anything, but he's there like investigating or something. Because like part of this opening scene is that he becomes a superstar and he's playing this like nonchalant guy, but like he's not happy. He doesn't seem happy. Like they're having like dinner, and the kind of person that runs the games is kind of saying like, so like, what's up? You don't seem super cheerful about being a superstar and having this world named after you. And he's like, no, I totally am. Look, I got this date with you.
Look, it's awesome. I'm having a good time.
So yeah, he's definitely, there's more layers to him, and I'm sort of liking where they're going with him. But like the surface level Geats character, I'm very into. Ace, and he does kind of question the limit of the world that can be created a little bit. So like I said, it almost sounds like he's sort of investigating or like testing the competition, seeing how far you can go and like what all you can do. And we'll get into it later. I have some larger questions about the nature of this competition and the threat to the world. But we'll get to it maybe when we get to like the first game actually beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Keiwa tries on his driver for the first time. As soon as he puts it in and puts the ID core in, which is sort of the centerpiece, he gets transported to the floating platform, and you get to see all the other normies showing up there.
So like that's what we were kind of talking about last time when I said like, does putting the rider belt thing on make you good at martial arts, all the important things that they need? Because when you see this crew, I'm sure you're gonna grab the screenshot of the crew on the island. Would be the perfect one right now.
Oh, of course.
It's such a random mix. It's like all sorts of like old, young, whatever. And this, like, I was kind of hinting towards it, or at least like suggested it last time. But like this specific effect of 30 people on this bad CG island looks absolutely ridiculous. Like there's some old newish fighting game that was like a college project that everyone got super into. I can't think of the name of it right now. I'm sure someone knows. But like it really just looks like someone stood in front of a green screen, like waved for like their idle animation and just went with it. And like 30 times over for all these people.
It really does. Yeah. And for a show that like, we talked about it last time, like a lot of the effects are like kind of cheesy looking, but they're capable of really good looking effects, and like the henshins and stuff are a testament to that. Like this is embarrassing. Like whenever they're on this platform, it is like, was the intern responsible for this particular like section? Like, did we not have enough time? Like, what is going on? Because like you were saying, like it's just sort of like shot from every different possible angle, and everyone's sort of composited together, and none of it makes sense. And yeah, you see the green screen glow. Like,
yes, and it's funny too because like I'm looking at the screenshot now where we're talking about it. So like the island is so flat, but not too. Where like it just doesn't look like they belong there. It just
Yeah.
looks so completely awkward. And doing hardcore analysis right now, there's no shadows on any of these people.
Of course not. It's too expensive. It would have taken too long. Yeah, and when Kawa first gets there, he kind of like teeters on the edge for a second, and it legit took me a minute to figure out that's what was happening because of how bad like the CG was and how bad like putting him on the edge actually was. But Ace shows up as well. Like the girls kind of go crazy for him when he rolls in. So again, he's the superstar of the world. And yeah, we find out that our sort of game navigator is named Sumuri. Um, we then get the first full intro of the show. You get like the actual opening sequence. You hear that hot J-pop.
Exactly. Everyone's favorite thing.
How are you feeling about the song? That's always a key piece of the Kamen Rider experience.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. I've watched
Yeah,
enough
it's
bad anime and stuff where I'm just like, this is a song. I can skip through this past this first time.
I'm somebody like I didn't think this would be true about myself, but I've found that I love a hot anime opener. Like just give me like just the cheesiest anime banger as like an opening theme, and I'm here for it. This one doesn't quite hit that limit for me. It's not quite there. Like the 01 theme song, the opener was like really good for that for me. The let's see what else was there's been a bunch of really good Kamen Rider songs. This one will probably grow on me, but I'm not super into it yet.
I'll never listen to it again. So
it's dead to you now.
I heard it once, good enough for me. I can skip past those like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, whatever it is.
You're so efficient with your time. How are you going to spend that 30 and 45 seconds now that you get back?
I'm gonna listen to my favorite anime song or opening song instead.
Perfect. That's better. You're right.
And for the record, it is the opening song from Tokyo Ghoul. It's called Unravel. Everyone should listen to it. It's fantastic.
I have not watched that. I'll have to check that out. I'm very into the songs from Skate the Infinity, which is a skating anime. It's very good. Everyone should check that out. But the songs
What kind
are
of skating?
Also, like skating on skateboards.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also like it's a little gay, but that's okay. It's good. Like, so here's a thing about me, Toby. I'm a cis man. I'm in a heterosexual relationship. If I'm going to watch a show that has romance in it of any kind, like I am 10 times more likely to watch it if it is queer romance for some reason. I don't know why this is. But it's definitely true about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it feels like more interesting to watch that, or I don't know. Like maybe it's a life I haven't lived or something. So that's why. But anyway, these two skateboard boys are super good friends, and it sort of is like kind of implied that it's more than that sometimes. But maybe that'll happen in season 2. Who knows? Speaking of skipping intros, I have a lot to say about this intro. Apparently, I recently rewatched all of Breaking Bad, and have you seen Breaking Bad at all?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing like 3 or 4 times, I think.
Oh, nice. Okay, so the intro, quote unquote, to Breaking Bad is very short. It's like 15 seconds at most, right? Like it's like super tiny.
Yeah, it's just like a couple of the I guess it's strings, but it's like real slow string pull noises.
Yep, and then like the periodic table turns into like the Breaking Bad like logo treatment. Very quick, like as far as intros go. Netflix lets you skip it for some reason because it's super short, but they still put up the like skip intro button. And I skipped it probably in like 95% of the episodes, and I felt very accomplished every time I did it. I don't know why.
Like 5 minutes. Could we save like 5 minutes?
I probably did. Yeah, over the course of the however many 50 hours I spent watching that show, I saved probably 5 minutes. You're right. That's true. That's like half of a poop that I saved right there.
That's how you get a hemorrhoids fan. That's definitely.
Am I pooping too long? Are my poops too long? That's probably true. Yeah.
Fine, they're playing weird phone games and stuff.
Sometimes it's mostly listening to podcasts is generally the thing I do.
So it really took us 2 episodes to completely start swerving hardcore from the actual topic at hand, like over and over and over.
Hey, this is it's a jumping off point. back to the episode though. Here's where we get into my questions about this game. So Sumuri explains kind of the premise to these people. Like, why are we here? She says that we're under the threat of these, I think they're like Giamato guys. It's the guys who go ja, like those guys. Like they're like attacking the planet or something, she explains. And this game is to like fight them off. Like the game will defend the world from them. And then so the general world population doesn't freak out, the game resets everyone's memories at the end. That makes zero sense, Toby. What does that mean?
So I guess we have to like look like add our own lore hardcore to this, and just maybe like the girl who runs the Grand Prix, they have some sort of like secret pact or deal with the Giamoto, or however you say it,
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, you want to come fight us? Okay, let's make a rule here though. Like we're just gonna keep wiping it. We can fight as long as you want to, but as long as we can reset and people don't really know about it, we'll fight you as much as you want to. And they're just like, oh shit, that's fine.
because that's the only explanation, right? Because then, of course, we get into the game one, which starts right now, and the game revolves around the Giamoto guys like having treasure boxes, like dropping loot, like they're dropping Kamen Rider belt buckles. So for them to have those, there has to be some kind of a partnership going on. You would think.
Yeah, like they have. It's not even like they're just dropping like, oh, here's a jacket to protect yourself. It's like, hey, we're literally dropping this thing that goes into your belt that we know you can kill us with in like 5 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. So I fully don't understand that. But everyone writes down their ideal world on the card before the game starts, of course. And then yeah, the game starts. We're in the first mission. And to your point about does becoming a Kamen Rider give you like, karate strength basically. Their first whole battle, they don't transform at all. So if you are a little old lady who got brought into this game, you're still just a little old lady out here in the forest trying to not die from these creatures attacking you, which
Well, yeah, like they
is
pretty much,
kind of hardcore.
yeah, they just kind of ran around and like didn't use any of their skills. Obviously, they didn't have anything to put into their drive things until they started defeating guys, but not really
Yeah.
sure how they're defeating them. And then in this first fight, this is one of my important questions that I wrote down. So our hero boy figures out that him and the guy that did the ridiculous interview from the first episode, they're like on a team, or they're both riders now, or trying to be riders. So my main question to you was, with how much of a nightmare that interview was, would you actually help that person and team up with them? Because I feel like if I caught that bad vibe where I was like, this guy's being a dick, I don't like the way he's talking to me, I probably would have said, just go fuck yourself and walked away.
I don't even know if the interview was that bad though. Like the guy asked like a pretty reasonable question, like because like his question was like, "What do you hope to achieve here?" Like that's not even like a really gotcha interview question. Um,
He
our
crapped
boy,
on, he crapped on his answer.
well,
That's the real problem.
he kind of did. He said, I guess, yeah, he was like. He kind of called it idealistic, right? Like he said, like life is a battlefield. But like I didn't get the vibe that he was just like, "You're an idiot, get out of here." But I mean, it's me. So if anyone didn't pick me for something, no matter how they let me down, I wouldn't help them later. Of course not. Come on, I'm not a good person, Toby. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna extend an olive branch after I didn't get the job. uh, we yeah, that whole like meeting that guy is great. And then his explanation for why he's there. So you get his sob story. He joined the game because his child is dying. So he wants to envision a world basically where his kid's not sick, which is, yeah, sure, that's great. That's a really awesome reason to be here, I guess. So melodramatic.
But that also says then that you get to pick if you're a rider. So like that adds like another layer to it too that they don't really like touch on,
Yeah.
because like it seems like, so like if he's in the game and doing these things because he wants to help his kid, that seems like he more actively chose like, I want to play the game. But like our hero boy didn't seem like he chose, I want to play this game. He just kind of like
He just put the belt on.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just met Neon, and then all of a sudden had a belt and was in the game, wishing for his world peace.
Yeah, it did seem like the Taiwa, the interviewer guy, had more information about the game prior to joining than Kwa did. That's probably just because Kwa is an idiot. Like there was probably instructions or something that he didn't read, uh, or maybe the interviewer guy just asked some questions like a normal human would. Who knows? But yeah, it seems like maybe the idea was that they had the option to not like put on the belt, to say no, it's not for me, like I'm not doing it,
Maybe.
which doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess it does if everyone's like memory gets erased at the end of the game. Like you would maybe know Kamen Riders exist for the duration of that game that you're not participating in, but then you'd forget. But certainly interesting, yeah, because Keiwa I don't think would have joined the game really, knowing his character, if he hadn't just haphazardly decided to put the belt on. We do get some really awesome like not in Kamen Rider gear fights. Like there's a dude who's sort of like he essentially beats up one of these bad guys with a stick. Like he like they trip him and then just start wailing on the guy to get the treasure to pop out. I thought that was pretty cool. Keiwa, in fact, in one of these haphazard fights that he doesn't really participate in, he finds the boost driver, the thing we saw from the first episode, and he grabs onto it. Right, it's the thing that like turned Kamen Rider Geats into like the red legged version and let him do the big rider kick and stuff. So Keiwa has it, but doesn't know too much about it, and it's just gonna hold on to it maybe for a little bit.
Well, the other weird thing too is, so everyone got their, we'll call them item drops for the sake of video gaming this as hard as possible. Yep. It seems to go with the rest of how all this actually works. It actually seems weird that they all basically get one item and then there's no more items for them somehow. So again, that leans into a weird thing of like, how does this actually all play out? Because they all got their one booster thing and that's all everyone got. Like no matter what, everyone just has one little gear to put in their belt.
Yeah. I think is it later? I think it might be later on. I think that Geats has two of them. If I remember right, like he has the water and the shield, I think.
Oh, maybe.
So like I think after like sort of the second round of fighting, because they all go back to the lounge after this. I think up to this point, like really the only person that's transformed is Ace, because he had the water gun early on, right? And he tries that out and it's like doesn't really work. So he just starts beating people up with the gun itself, which is amazing.
Well, it pretty much looks like just like an outdoor water spigot nozzle.
Yeah. Just like, just goes down. But yeah, then we head back to the lounge. It's sort of like this weird intermission kind of a thing after round one. And Keiwa's there. He finally realizes Neon is there as well. So it's the first time they kind of like interact now that they're both Kamen Riders. And then they meet the bull guy, Kamen Rider Bufa, and they find out. So Keiwa is Kamen Rider, I think like Tycoon. And Neon, I believe, is like Nago, is what they call her. And we find out later that is a tanuki and a cat are the two sort of animal characters that they become. So certainly not random, since Keiwa was eating tanuki soba and Neon is clearly a huge cat freak. We see that in episode 1. So they kind of become the animals of their choice.
I'm personally offended that him being a tanuki, which is the raccoonish animal made famous by Super Mario Bros. 3 to tie it back to the beginning.
Yep.
All those statues and those animals, their whole like weird lore thing is they have giant balls.
Yep, that's true.
And it's not on the outfit. That's all I really have to add to the conversation with
that. Speaking of giant balls, last night I was trying to put my daughter to bed, and I had been explaining to her before bed that she can't eat peanuts yet because it's like a choking hazard at her age. So she had peanut M&Ms someone had given her that I wasn't letting her have, and I was only letting her have regular M&Ms. And she apparently had been like mulling that fact over in her brain that she wasn't allowed to have peanuts, but that I was, because I was older. And she was having a hard time going to sleep. She kept like calling me back in her room. One time she called me back in her room and she was attempting to ask me to say, Dad, you're allowed to have peanuts because you're bigger. But what she said, the words were, I opened her door and she said, Dad, you got big nuts? So I just said, yes, I have big nuts. Now go to sleep.
I hope that's one of the things that sticks in her memory forever.
Me too. just really making those therapy the therapy session she's going to be in eventually really worthwhile. But anyway, so back to the animals that they become, right? The fact that like it's kind of tied to their person kind of tells me that Kamen Rider Geats being a fox, like there's something to it, right? He's like
He's
he's a little
cunning.
sneaky, he's cunning. Yeah, exactly. We find out that violence is prohibited in the lounge when people get a little bit heated. The phone rings, and there's been an emergency, Toby. The explanation is kind of that the Giamato guys like get out of hand, it seems like. And basically, anyone who didn't have one of the Kamen Rider buckles thus far has just been eliminated from the game. So we instantly are cut down to just the handful of people that we kind of see there. I don't remember exactly how many, but like there's not very many, right? It's just a tiny amount.
So it might have been earlier in one of the conversations or later. Did you get the vibe that the people die when they lose?
Yeah, we find that out like right now. So like this is the
Okay.
point where I can't remember. Someone asks the question, and they basically find out that yeah, if you die in the game, you die in real life, as these things tend to go. um, Definitely was not the vibe that I think anyone was given at the beginning. Like it all just seemed like, hey, this is fun in games. Come play our cool little Kamen Rider game and help beat up these bad guys. But no, now it's like murder happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so it says like, and then they had a conversation because he said like, "Oh, my boss at the soba place, he came back from the dead
Yep.
after the game," and they said, "No, but he's not a writer."
Yeah. So yeah, it specifically only applies to the people who have agreed to play the game. All of the humans that get murdered by the Giamato come back to life for some reason. So great. You've all screwed yourselves. Thank you for being here. We find out that the new mission is to just defeat all the Giamato that are kind of left in the region. So everyone heads back down in.
They said at some part of it during that one of those talks, she said like one of the chiefs decided to fight, so that's why they had to go. But yeah, the chief of the thief, Giamma, whatever, has just appeared. We have to go. So
Okay.
that's how they lead into like this is why there's the special like Power Ranger Monster of the Week person there as well because he's the chief of
The
the thief
chief.
ones.
Okay.
So there might be other ones as we go, but these are the thief ones.
Huh. So it was like they sort of had um figured out how to subjugate maybe the like regular dudes for this mission, but then when the real guy shows up, it's like, okay, we got to get serious now. Everybody go down and fight. We sort of get everybody's first henshin at this point when we get back into the field, and you get to sort of see all the characters that everyone is. There's kind of a cool little moment between like Neon and the Ram character because they kind of teamed up the first time around. And the great thing is that when everyone puts on their like buckles that they found from the first one, it is again to make it a video game thing. It's like the first crappy weapons that you pick up in Fortnite. Like they're bad, they look bad, like nothing about them looks like they're going to be effective. They're just these like crappy looking neon plastic weapons. Very clearly you got to find better ones along the way, and I'm sure that they will. Let's see. Someone has the like fancy Magnum driver, I think.
Yeah, so I got excited when the Magnum driver appeared because it was like the perfect like Call of Duty level up guitar chugga chugga noise that like everyone knows, the
Yeah.
noise that everyone likes to mock and make fun of. So I was just so excited. I was like, just keep hammering the game home.
And they certainly are. I'm really confused about Buffa because he's there with them. He's playing the game, But he's got this whole like other zombie thing going that doesn't really line up with what they have. Like he starts off with the buckle that is like the zombie arm that comes over, and he seems like way more advanced than them. Like it didn't seem like he needed to necessarily find a separate buckle to be powerful where they sort of all did. So I don't really get his vibe, but there's something special going on with him, it seems like. This is where I started to get pretty annoyed with Kawa, I think. Cuz he's just sort of refusing to fight this whole battle. Like he's hiding, he doesn't really know what to do. Like he knows that, his life's on the line at this point, and he's still just sort of not doing anything. There is an axe that gets thrown, and it blows the interviewer, Mr. Taiwa, away. Kawa sees it, and Taiwa's buckle breaks, so it's pretty clear, like, it's not looking good for him. He's dying. And Kawa holds him, and I believe I wrote down the line. He says, "Was there no other choice but to fight?" Like after he gives kind of the explanation of sort of why he's there, what he's doing. Was there no other choice but to fight? Which seems a little mocking. I don't think that's what he was going for, but it seems to really like twist the knife a little bit.
But yeah, so like the craziest part to me was the fact that let the sick kid's dad die almost instantly.
Yeah, like after he got hit, yeah, he's out.
Yeah, like I would have thought that would have been like late game, like Kawa has to help him or decide at the end, like, do I save him because he wants to help his kid, or have to do something else with it, or something along those lines. I didn't expect it like the first 20 seconds of the first fight for it to be like downhill instantly.
Yeah. I think they needed the stakes to be pretty high for Kawa. Like they needed to show him, hey, if you don't participate, this is going to happen to you and your friends. So like that's probably why. But yeah, it was pretty shocking that they're just going to kill that guy off like right away and not drag it out and force them to kind of work together and then Kawa make a choice or something.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was obviously the nudge for him to actually like get off his ass, but just a weird time to do it.
It certainly was, yeah. And Geats comes over and attempts to assist, tells Kawa he's got to fight, and then this is fantastic. I love everything that Geats does. Basically, he over the course of the next few minutes here, he tricks Kawa. He tells Kawa that he joined the game to fight for all the unlucky children in the world.
Just like Kawa would do. And just like the sick kid's dad would do.
So Kawa instantly gets just a boner about this and thinks that Geats is a great person. The kind of big bad guy shows up. Geats is using the water gun to fight him back. Eventually, Geats asks for the boost buckle that Kawa has for the children's future. He says, I need it for the children's future. Kawa thinks about it for a minute, and then he decides that Geats has everyone's best interests in mind, so he tosses it over. Geats, of course, was playing him. Tells him, "Hey, thanks. I just needed the boost buckle. I knew exactly what to tell you to get you to toss it over." I love it. I love that Geats one not only like tries to get Kawa into the fight, so he tries to give him some real advice, but then also just like instantly plays him right afterwards. Great stuff.
Like, in like a 30-second gap in my notes, I have one line says Fox is a bad man, and then like 20 seconds later I wrote Fox is a good man.
Fox is a good man. I really liked it's not even a rider kick this time, it's a rider punch to beat the main bad guy there. He does this punch where, like, again, we get the kind of dog bike that we got from the first time around. Like the bike transforms into sort of an animal, and it sort of like sucks up water and then sprays it to like shove Geats towards the bad guy, like in a punch motion. Like that's pretty cool. I really liked that.
Well, yeah, like it was a good use of like, hey, we're going to turn this crappy item into a good one. I learned how it actually works, and I'm going to do something with it versus just like being stuck with nothing.
Yep. Kawa, I think, tries to kind of ask for the boost buckle back, but we find out for sure that time that it is one use only, which we kind of saw last episode where it kind of flew off all crazy like a bottle rocket. So yeah, one use only is the boost buckle, and now it is gone, so no one has it. We sort of get back to base. There are 6 people left in the game now. Keiwa's, kind of torn up about the interviewer guy dying and asks if you can revive people who died during the game if you win. And the answer is yes. Yes, you can if you desire it, if you wish for it. But it seems kind of cheating because you didn't write it down originally, right? Like you didn't write down. Also, I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna die, and if he does, I wish that he comes back.
Yeah,
So
and like, so my thing with like his wishing for world peace, I feel like is we have like the genie situation. If you wish for like infinite wishes, I feel like wishing for world peace is the same vibe of like, I guess it works, but it seems cheating and just trying to go like as OP as possible on that
yeah,
move.
yeah, I'm sure it wouldn't solve the Giamato issue. Like I'm sure those guys would still exist. So it's world peace, except for the invading forces that are that are threatening the world. Probably
They start playing for fun instead of for death.
they all the Giamato get together and they go out for some Tanuki soba. That's what they
There you
do
go.
if Keiwa wins. I'm sure at the end of this, Keiwa probably does win. At the end of these, 40 some episodes. But at this point, there's no chance in hell he's winning, right? Come on, he's a baby. He can't do anything right. He's not
I
gonna
would
make it.
assume I would assume no, or at best, like he inspires Geats to stop wishing to be like a movie star stud and actually like wish for something useful.
Yeah, maybe. The end of the episode, though. Speaking of Geats and being a movie star stud, we get an interesting scene where we cut to a hospital and the boy, we see a boy who needed surgery, and there's a donation that has happened that has allowed this surgery to occur. The boy is Mr. Tewa's son, the interviewer's son, and the donation came from, quote, the nameless fox. So obviously Geats is the one who dropped this donation off, is what we were all intended to think. So yeah, there's more to Geats obviously than meets the eye. That was the point where it kind of led me to believe that he was maybe like a Batman type character. Like he's watching out for the kids, and he's got this gruff exterior that's going to kind of get the job done, but like what's he really in it for? So that's my sort of hypothesis currently, is that he is like investigating the game kind of like Batman would.
I gotcha. Yeah, that was the point where it went from Fox is a bad man to Fox is a good man.
Fox is an interesting man for sure. And at the end of the episode, we see that weird masked guy again from episode 1 in the kind of white mask. Interestingly, I don't know if you noticed, the mask changes from episode 1 to episode 2. I think that the internet discovered that they were using a mask from something else. I forget what property it was, but they had basically just like taken an off the shelf mask for that person to wear, and then everyone pointed out that it was from something else. So then they had to come up with a different mask for him to have for
Interesting.
episode 2. I think maybe in Japan and subsequent airings of episode 1, they actually like they modified the episode so you didn't see that mask anymore. But nonetheless, that guy's still there. He's wondering what Geats is after, like what his goals are. I'm wondering who this guy could be, right? Because if you have a masked character that you are very clearly teasing a reveal of eventually, it has to be revealed as a character that we know, right? Do you think it's going to be someone who already is in the show?
You would think it would have to be, or else like you said, like the reveal doesn't matter then.
Yeah, it's like pulls off the mask. I was like, well, who the hell are you?
Yeah, like yeah.
And I can't think of anyone thus far that we've seen that we would know enough to like be shocked. I guess the only person that crosses my mind is the kind of butler guy who's in the lounge with them.
I mean, it would be something like that, or even like if as they build the backstory, it'll be like Geats' dad or like
Yeah, I
Kewa's
guess.
dad or something like that.
Yeah, I guess we still could get a character introduced in subsequent episodes, but before the face reveal that it could be that person. That's totally true. But it's interesting. Yeah, I hope that it ends up being like that, where it matters when we find out who that person is. And I do hope we find out who that person is. It seems like that's what we're building for. But yeah, that's the end of our episode. a couple takeaways that I had. So like, one was, yeah, who is this masked guy? Kind of what's happening. I'm really excited about Geats now as a character, finding out that yes, as expected, he has multiple levels. There's a lot more going on with him than you might think. And my big number one is like, I don't know how long I can handle Kawa like being like the super idealistic, save the world, return everyone from the dead pacifist guy. That is, oh man. I
Well,
hope he gets a little fighting spirit here pretty soon.
well, yeah, especially if it's as long as you say these usually run. It needs to happen in a couple episodes here. It can't be
Yeah.
like a mid-season 20 episodes in reveal. It needs to be like 4 or 5 where he just gets pissed and does something about it, kind of thing.
Yeah, something needs to happen. Like maybe like Sarah needs to die or something, like quickly. Like let's move this along. Let's get him mad. Let's fix it.
Exactly.
But I'm liking Geats so far for sure. So how are you feeling about episode 2 overall?
It was definitely better than the first one. I get bored when it's all just set up things and not
Yeah.
like actual interesting things. This was definitely the one that I was talking about last time, where I said like, you said that this is always huge for toys and kids. You definitely get the collect them all vibe off of this. Of hey, get the water sprinkler and get the boost one and get everything else.
Yep.
But it's definitely gearing up for good potential here.
I predict, so as we continue watching this show, and I know you're gonna end up with a Kamen Rider buckle. I think.
I
I
hope
think
not.
you're gonna own one for sure.
No, because
Yeah.
it wouldn't be one; it would be all of them.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you are the person who would order a driver, and you totally can get them here, by the way, because I own one. I have the one from Zio. And yeah, you could get them here, and you'd be the person who would have to collect every single attachment. You'd have to get every single buckle and all the combinations.
And this
Yeah.
is exactly why I can't do it.
Yeah, in the actual toys, they're actually kind of cool. So, it's the belt buckle like you see in the show, and all the different things that you attach to them make the main buckle play different noises. So like it's programmed with all the noises off the bat, right? But then each toy presses different buttons on it that make that noise come out for that particular thing. So that's kind of cool. The one from Zio is especially cool because the whole belt buckle spins, so it like unlatches and then does this sort of like rotation on the axis, and each of the things that plug into the side can also play sounds too. So like they're playing sounds while the main buckle is playing sounds. It's, I don't know, just a big sensory mess when you're
It's
playing with it.
wild. So I'm looking online on some collectible site. They have pre-orders for DX Desire Driver with the Zombie Raise buckle and holder set.
Yeah.
That's $100. Just the Desire Driver itself is $80.
Yep.
The crappy sword and arrow little attachments we saw, those start at $13, so that's not that too bad.
Yep.
But this is definitely overpriced crap.
Oh
That,
yeah.
I could surely see myself buying if I didn't know better.
Absolutely. Yeah. The main driver, like to get it here in the States, like usually falls between like 60 and 80. And then yeah, the attachments are usually in the like 10 to 20 range, depending on how complicated they are for that particular season. They always come out with the drivers for all the subsequent riders too. So like you said, the zombie guy will have his. I'm sure we'll get others along the way. If you get into the toy side of this, which like I said, I have one, and I haven't bought them for any seasons I watched since then, but like even just the one, like it does get expensive very fast for
I'm
sure.
Like all these nonsense things are, like we always said.
Oh yeah, for sure. They also, one thing that always sounds really cool, but I've never pulled the trigger on, is the weapons. So one of the ones they're selling this season is the zombie sword, like the chain sword that he has, the zombie, like the Kamen Rider Buffa has.
Yeah.
That thing looks so cool, and it makes all those zombie noises. The only problem is it's made for kids, so it's really tiny. So it's not like a full size. So like me holding it and playing with it would look ridiculous. You know, even more than me holding a toy and playing with it would normally. But yeah, I always thought the idea of those would be cool, but then they're just too tiny to really, be fun.
It has poison charge. It's only $20 or $50. It's $50.
Depends on where you get them, but yeah, like any of those toys, like that are imported from Japan get pricey pretty quickly.
Well, everyone's on the. I'm on Toku Collectibles or something like that. It's 18 inches. That's a foot and a half of chainsaw sword. I think you could pull us off.
Yeah, I mean that's actually I think one of the longer ones from recent memory. Like remember the like there was like a sword basically recently in Kamen Rider as kind of the big main weapon, and that thing was tiny. I think it was probably shorter than 18 inches,
I gotcha. Okay.
or maybe in my mind 18 inches is sounds bigger than it actually is in person. I don't know. No one read into that, I guess, but um yeah, but I want like a good like 3 foot long. Like I want something big, you know.
You're gonna get crazy.
I want to get weird with it, Toby. Yeah, I want to mount this thing on a wall and like you know,
Stare at it.
just stare at it, never touch it, like everyone does when they're an adult and they buy toys. Yeah, exactly.
So my last toy conversation, then we can wrap it up here. You can pre-order an extension belt for your Desire driver,
Mhm.
and it's only $50, but I feel like that's one of those weird things where it's like we're gonna pander to any of our possible audiences, and if they are larger in stature, you have to make sure they can have the toys too. And
Here's the funny thing. Obviously, those belts are aimed for children, Japanese children at that, so small kids. So yeah, like obviously an adult putting it on of any size adult, like would need an extension. Even the extensions aren't super long.
so I guess
um,
you're from like small child to like teenager.
yeah, I think it gets you from small child to yes, like teenager, Japanese teenager. So mine, the one I have to be able to put it on, I just replaced the belt entirely. I basically bought like a blue strap that kind of like matched sort of, and you can kind of take the buckle apart and put the ends on so it still like snaps in like it's supposed to. But yeah, I just had to like replace the belt entirely so that I could stand alone in my home and wear this Kamen Rider belt.
Perfect.
But yeah, it turned into an arts and crafts project because of that. But yeah, people go to great lengths to be able to wear those things. So yeah, sometimes it's taking it apart and sort of crafting a better belt. Sometimes it's ordering those like expensive attachments. I know in past I think you've been able to buy like multiple of those and string them together even to get them to fit if you needed to. So yeah, it's complicated stuff.
Perfect. Once again, perfect.
Everyone likes to get those, and the thing that you see online then are like fan henshins where they pretend to be the Kamen Rider and go through the whole like henshin process, and people will even like edit in special effects over top of it sometimes and stuff, and like smoke effect and stuff. And it's well, it's super cringy, but also it's like kind of awesome. Like it's directly in the middle of like I wouldn't tell anyone that I'm doing this, but it's really cool that you're doing it. My last question for you to kind of take us out of this episode, thinking forward in this series. Obviously, we saw sort of game one end in episode one. Like we saw a first ending of one of these games. This game starts up this episode. We're currently left with just 6 people left, which are clearly going to be kind of the main characters. It feels like in the series that we're gonna kind of keep going with maybe for this series. Do you think we see another game end soon? Like, there's only 6 people. How long can they string out a game where we're supposed to be kind of gradually losing people along the way?
So either they can do the obnoxious thing and make it last all 40 episodes,
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
but like I would have to think that like KOI would have to maybe survive like 1 or 2. Like maybe like he survives the end of the first one and stays like coward mode. So we'll call it 5 or 6 episodes in. And then since he is a rider, he does it again, knowing how the game works now, and maybe like slowly like tries harder and harder every time.
That'd be cool. Yeah. It'd be cool if it almost becomes like a Groundhog Day type situation where like he keeps doing it over and over again and gets like more experienced each time, but like the game's kind of still the same every time. So that he eventually is just kind of this like ultra powerful, like I know exactly what's gonna come and how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, like either that or like he gets. I would think the main thing would just be like him and Geats. Like maybe Geats wins once or twice more, and then he starts getting told like, hey, wish for something better than just wishing for yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe like KO never actually has to win. He just slowly convinces his friend-ish person to like be a better person instead.
Oh yeah, that seems very like Kamen Rider plot for sure.
Oh, perfect. I'm so
Yeah.
wise.
That's right there in the wheelhouse. The only thing that I think that maybe makes that wouldn't be true is because like I think I could totally see that if we knew Gates to be a one-dimensional character at this point. But we know that there's a little bit more to him. So that's what makes me think there's going to be like more twists than that. But yeah, totally the like over the course of multiple games, KY is going to win Geats over, and then eventually Geats is going to wish for world peace. Totally would make sense, like plot wise.
Yeah. So I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, I think either way, this is all ending with them saying like, we need to stop fighting now, and just going to end like the Grand Prix concept.
Yeah.
I think no matter what is the ending of this.
Yeah, I that sounds awesome. I'm into that. I hope that they don't try to drag this singular game out for the entire structure of the rest of the season. But I'm interested to see where it goes. Like I feel like in some Kamen Rider episodes or seasons rather, you kind of start to see the structure this early on. Like in episodes 2 and 3, you sort of kind of start to figure out kind of the monster of the week type situation, how they're going to work and stuff. But like, yeah, I'm completely confused still on this one basically. So yeah, I'm enjoying it thus far. All right. Any parting thoughts, Toby? That it for us?
I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening here for our second episode. We're available everywhere now. So go check that out. We are in podcast form, ideally everywhere podcasts can be downloaded. That takes a little while to propagate out. We should be on Apple Podcasts. We should be on Spotify, on Anchor, on Overcast, on Pocket Casts. Anywhere you wanna grab our show, we should be there. We're also on YouTube. Probably just search for the Comment Writers, and you will find it there. And also, you could follow Toby and I on the Twitters. We're idiots who like to hang out there. Toby, what is your handle?
It's at Life of Tobes.
Awesome. And you can find me at Pretty Deece Josh. That's PrettyDecejosh. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. Check out episode 1 if you'd missed it, and join us once again for episode 3 next time. We will see you then.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock,